Green screen not going to work today. There we go. All right, let's get this neural party started. Let's start with some emotional regulation. On my count, we are going to inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale, and inhale and exhale. My descending count of 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. 3, 2, 1. Good morning, Lola. Let me come back. All right, today's topic is we are going to be focusing on the results. Today's live is sponsored, as always, by the elements H2O. And when I say drink water, you are going to drink water too. Type it in the comments and drink water. So today is the 71st principle of real leadership, focus on the results. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. So focus on the results. There are many times in my life when I have had to focus on the results. In fact, I'm in a focus on the results season right now. When I was in college and I was broke and I had the same clothes and I was eating that trick cereal my first semester of my senior year, I had to focus on the results. And I had to tell people my money is tied up in investments right now. When I was in the military, I had to focus on the results, because sometimes when you're sitting in the field and you ain't had a shower in 2 weeks, you got to tell yourself, hey, let's focus on the results. Let's focus on something that is in the future. You direct your time and energy and attention to that end, because otherwise you find yourself quitting. I tell you, don't do anything without a why and a strategy, so that when shit hits the fan, you go back to that why, you go back to that strategy, and you keep moving. You persevere during times of adversity. That's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. You tell yourself failure is not an option and quitters never win. I'm challenging myself. I'm taking risks. That's 5 principles of real leadership that you can use while you are focusing on the results. So here is my definition of this principle of real leadership. To focus on the results means you direct your time, attention, and decisions and actions towards measurable outcomes that must be produced. Measurable outcomes, not something that's a figment of your imagination. You think it might work, but an actual measurable outcome. If I say I'm gonna read 50 books in a year and I get to week 27 and shit start getting, I'm like, fuck, I'm tired of reading all these books. The main thing is the main thing. It's 50 books in a year. And so you go back to, you said you're going to read 50 books in a year and take a week off in 26 and a week off in 52 to prepare for the next challenge. And so you finish the book. If the book is terrible, then you do the Pomodoro technique and you read for 20 minutes and you go do something else and you come back and read for 20 minutes until the book is finished. And so you don't focus on your feelings. You're not making excuses. You're not making opinions, and you're not paying attention to opinions from yourself and other people, or intentions or effort. You're focusing on the things that are measurable. So real leaders evaluate success by what was achieved, not what was attempted. So what did you accomplish? And I talked about being lazy on this morning's TikTok live, and I told people that they're here for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of days. Then they go to the doctor and get a bad report. Okay, great, Jared. Awesome. Wonderful. So you can be safe. And then you get a bad doctor's report, and now you're talking about you didn't have time. Yes, you did. You had thousands and 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 thousands of days to get something done. What you mean that you didn't have time? What you talking about? Yes, you did. You had plenty of time, but you got a bunch of excuses for why you didn't. I explained to everybody what they needed to do with the subscription, and someone came and said, that's too much work. And I said, okay, cool. Let me let you know that's why you're getting blocked right now, because obviously this isn't for you. So I want to make sure that I don't show up on your For You page ever again, because you said what I'm doing is too much work. And what you're really saying is you're not worth the effort. That's too much work. Okay, cool. Got it. Bye. Go where they don't do too much work at. The rest of TikTok. Go over there. Go over there. Focus on the results. You have to focus on the results. I'm focused on 5.9 billion people. Now, the ones that don't want to learn how to use their brain, how their brain functions so they can function better, and they don't want to create new neurons and new neural pathways, then I'm not focused on you. That's one less person that I'm focused on. But the main thing is still the main thing, because I know that there are a group of everyday people out there that want to be extraordinary and high functioning in their everyday life. You all are a testament to that. So I'm not going to stop because somebody comes on TikTok and tells me that it's too much work. Okay, so what are the alternatives? Because the alternatives are where we're living in right now. Because I vacillate back and forth and with this process. And Jared and Lola and Regina are my barometers for those things. Now, why, Jared, like, how the hell would I do, Dr. Donna? Because you all don't use profanity. You all have 3 different religions that you practice, and you all are very calm, regulated people. The rest of us is a little cuckoo for cocoa, but we kind of elevated in our daily existence. And so when I'm doing something and you all do it, I'm saying, okay, the calm, nice people of 3 different religious preferences are doing it. So I'm not crazy. I'm not. 3 very different religious preferences. And so that is what I use to determine if something is too hard. Lola, you couldn't do anything, not anything, because you had a great career in housing, but technology was not your thing in January. And now you're technologically astute at this point. And so I'm saying, if I were not giving you instruction, if it were hard, then you wouldn't be as high functioning neurologically as you are. You wouldn't be taking on all these new challenges that you're taking on. And so what people, and Nola has said this to me as well, people want me to make this as easy as possible for them, but greatness doesn't come from easy. Greatness and extraordinary is hard to do because it requires new neural pathways to get it done. And there's nothing easy about learning things that you don't already know. There is nothing simple about me learning how the brain functions so I can teach you how to become high functioning adults. There's nothing simple about that. There's nothing nice about it, and it's extremely complicated. So if you don't want to focus on the results, you don't have to. If you don't want to create new neural pathways, you actually don't have to. But stop coming over here. Stop coming over here. Stay over where they aren't expected to have new neural pathways, where it's very predictable, where it's very normal, where it's very hijacked amygdala-esque. Stay over there. People used to ask me why I didn't cuss when I grew up. And you have a reason for it. And that's your personal reason. Now, what I don't do is say, well, if you don't curse, don't come over here. That's your personal preference. And I have my reasons for doing it. But it doesn't stop me from giving you the information that you actually need. So you got to ask yourself, and I said this right before I got off the live on TikTok, I said people will find a reason. They will go all the way down my LinkedIn profile and get to my 21 score in German and my 25 score in Duolingo and tell me I'm not proficient in 2 other foreign languages, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Instead of realizing, do you know how much guts? Because you have to link your Duolingo to your LinkedIn. You don't, it won't happen otherwise. Duolingo doesn't know that you have a LinkedIn. And so I was on Duocon and they said in live time, now you can link your Duolingo to LinkedIn. Go do it right now. And I did it because I want people to know that I'm elementary in both of those, because I said it and now Duolingo agrees with me. But you will find a reason not to listen to what I'm saying if that will help you stay stuck and not focus on higher results. That's what will take place. And I'm saying I got to be okay with that. But I'm not going to be nice when I don't need to be. I'm not going to make you feel good about not using your brain. I won't be able to sleep at night. I have this information. I'm giving it to adults. And if the adults don't listen to it, that's on the adults. But I'm not going to go to sleep and say, you know what, it's okay. You don't have to get no new neurons. It's okay. I should have let those 13 people whose subscription I took away from them, I should let them stay. Because why? Because why? Why? Because I am focused on the results. I'm focused on who I want being able to say, I'm a real leader. I use neuropability. That's what I'm focused on, because my daddy told me I'm a Thomas and that means something. So my name is on this. And I don't want people not doing the work, putting on a brain t-shirt saying, I'm is a real leader. I'm excellent. I finally shared the hair between my Belize and asshole. Okay. Drink water. So as I was saying, some people don't belong over here because they are neurologically inept. And we have a perfect example here in Florida Man 561. This person woke up this morning and decided stupidity was on their menu, on their to-do list today. This person decided that what I was saying was making them uncomfortable. And so Amy and Lala said, let me say something vulgar to make her upset. Now, drink water somehow gets blocked. But this imbecile's statement is prevalent for all of us to see because they have practiced saying what they need to say so it comes through. So this is something that they do often. And so instead of creating new neurons for something that would actually be advantageous for their neurological pathways and their cognition, they've chosen ignorance and absurdity. That's what this person has done. And this person probably isn't even on here anymore, but I'm going to leave that as an example of what people with emotional dysregulation wake up every day doing. The absurdity of this statement. This person is not focused on results because this person doesn't have results to focus on. This person doesn't have a why. They do, but it's a stupid why. It's a dumbass plan. So this person, because my lives are for adults, is a fully functioning, in theory, adult, probably with a family, and hopefully they didn't procreate. But they have decided on Saturday morning before CFP shows up, because they look like they watch football or some type of sport, they're bored and they need a quick dopamine boost. So let me go do this. Ignorance is bliss. So as I was saying, and I wasn't interrupted, thank you for the lesson, Florida Man 561. Thank you for being the lesson this morning. So why do adults struggle with focusing on results? We'll use Florida Man 561 as the example. So Florida Man 561 struggles with focusing on the results because they have been conditioned to treat effort, intention, and trying as if that were equal to achievement. They're trying to do better at the job. They're trying to be a better significant other. They're trying to be a better parent. They're trying to be a better human being contributing positively to society. When the mind becomes attached to being seen as hardworking, good, busy, or trying their best, it begins protecting ego and comfort instead of protecting outcomes. So then I hear about all the work that they're doing. They've been at their job for 37 years and they're doing this with the grants and everything else. And it's a bunch of bullshit, nonsense, and piffleness. So they also avoid results because results make personal accountability visible. What you say, Dr. Donna? Results. They make personal accountability visible. Jared, you are now talking about the brain to people at the job and in your family. Comfort zone syndrome. Yes. And so as a result of that, people now have an expectation of you to be talking about the brain. And now, if something goes left, they're going to say, why you ain't consult your brain to do that? You so damn smart. So they will begin to try to use that against you. And that's why people struggle with subscribing and doing what I'm saying do, because the unaccountable people are going to hold you personally accountable, even though they're personally unaccountable, because it's now visible. You have said you're going to read a book a week. And so now if they see you not with a book, what happened, smart boy? What happened, school man? Hey, OG, hey, Unc, where your book at? Where your book at? You need your reading glasses, Unc? Can't see straight? So then they start saying these asinine things to you. And Visible personal accountability exposes gaps, delays, and underperformance. Underperformance. Every time I get ready to say a new neurological term, I'm like, somebody that knows more about the brain gonna say some shit to me. And as a side note, let me finish my sentence and then I'll go back to this thing I'm gonna say. So many adults would rather defend the story of their effort than face the truth of their output. I got progressive lenses. Thank you, young man. Laugh out loud. Right. I'm getting progressives this time. I got the bifocals, but I got the line. I'm like, I'm a big kid now. I can progress my own eyes. So yesterday I was on TikTok and there was a neuroscientist on there and he was saying, don't listen to these experts. These people who think they're talking about dopamine hits, and dopamine hits are not true. Now I had TikTok lives that said dopamine hits hit different. He might have been talking about somebody else. He might have been talking about me. So he went into this whole very neurological explanation. He had MRI graphs would lighten up the brain. He started talking about motherfucking 20 people experiments. You can't measure dopamine boosts because of the real-time impact, yada, 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 yada. And initially, I clutched my real leader pearls. I said, this motherfucker talking about me. Then I had a conversation with my progeny, and here's what she said. First of all, the gate kept the information until 15 years ago. And then all of that he said, he did not have a solution to explain dopamine hits. He said you can't measure them. You said, okay, cool. You can't measure them. And my progeny told me, you are the only person that's telling people how the brain functions so people can function better. So him saying dopamine hits can't be measured can't help Jared read one book a week. But what I can say is, if you are looking for manufactured dopamine and you want a quick fix for a quick release of dopamine, you're going to go watch TikTok videos. And you're going to become addicted to TikTok videos, but you won't read a book. So then I felt better about everything that I said because my point was proven. The neuroscientists and the neurologists can say, don't do this. This is how the brain functions and everything else. But they can't tell you how to be high functioning. And at that moment, I said, I don't give a fuck what nobody else says. Because nobody else is willing to teach the whole brain, willing to focus on the results and be wrong. I said the everyday person know about the brain. That's what you said. Thank you very much. So that's what Nola said. Now, the everyday person knows how the brain functions and knows how they can function better. So Jared is sitting there saying, I'm not about to eat this bad snack. My amygdala is about to be hijacked. These damn twins is on fleek this morning. Let me do my 10 significant seconds of silence. So Jared, do you care that you can't actually measure a dopamine hit? They all got this is being smarter than the other person. Right. All they have is that they're smarter. And so because I am not a high IQ'd person, then I feel like, oh my God, they out IQ'd me. But they can't tell you how your brain functions. They can say, you're wrong, Dr. Donna. That doesn't come from a dentate gyrus. The dentate gyrus is located in the midbrain, and it's 5 dentate basal ganglia. It's not just one. It's and we can argue about semantics all day long, but y'all know that the basal ganglia is where habits are created. Y'all know that the hippocampus is where the memories are stored because we talked about the memory library. So you are high functioning. So do you care if on the spectrometer, you can't measure an actual dopamine hit? I know when somebody's amygdala is hijacked. I can tell that. I can tell when someone is trying to hijack my amygdala. I can tell when cortisol is released into my prefrontal cortex. And now I can't think clearly. So the results are what matters. The results are what matters. And because I've only been studying the brain for a year, I will tell you, oh, my bad. That's the wrong information. Let me update that information. This is what I told y'all, but I got new research. And the problem with studying the brain, which I also found, is people have different opinions about the brain, even with their research. They would take somebody else's research and disprove that research. For a long time, people thought that the brain was fixed, and then Hebb came along and said, no, neurons fire and wire. They don't just grow new dendrite trees. They actually create new neurons altogether that weren't there. And now everybody's talking about fire and wire. They were using the staining with Golgi and Cahal. And Cahal went to his deathbed saying, there is a hole, there is an opening at the receptor on his deathbed, because he knew that the neurotransmitters were actually, from a fire and wire perspective, were going to the receptors, but he just didn't have the technology to be able to see it at that level, at that cellular level. He went to his grave saying, nope, that's not how it happens. That's not how it happens. And so we don't hear about Hebb's law. We hear about fire and wire. We don't know that that's Hebb's law. We don't know about the staining of the brain. We don't know about Golgi and Cajal until you start studying them. You don't understand that the brain was used for the algorithm for AI and computers. They kept studying the brain so they could make it a mathematical equation, so then they could start running that 1.0 code on computers. Y'all didn't know that either. But you can't measure a dopamine hit. Like when you told us about the insula causing physical pain, like the symptoms when you're telling the truth. Exactly. And that the insular is its own small lobe that no one says. You have 4 major lobes and 2 small minor lobes. And it is the limbic lobe and it is the insular lobe. Nobody says that. They just talk about the top 4 because they're inside of those lobes. So we didn't hear that. We didn't know that it was a left and right amygdala. We didn't know that until I asked Chat, how much does the amygdala weigh? And then I'm like, left and right, and they got 2 different functions, right? Because there are certain parts of the brain that have both, that have access to the left and right hemispheres. And so those parts of the brain function differently. We haven't heard that either, but they want to keep talking about what you can and can't measure. I don't give a fuck about how you measure a dopamine hit. I know when you get manufactured dopamine, it's a fucking problem and people keep seeking it. And I know that when you have a natural release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens and that reward loop, you start doing that thing more, which keeps you having neural clarity instead of neurotoxicity. I do know that part, and that's why they keep staying in the lab. And then at the end, he said, and we wouldn't be able to measure that on a human because we have to put a probe in the brain and all that. I like, y'all been putting fucking probes in animals' brains since the fucking probes showed up. When the fuck y'all gonna just actually see, tell the human what to do and see how they behave afterwards? If they have a brain and neuroplasticity is real, why we can't just tell people what the fuck to do and come back and see if we were right? How hard is that? Why we got to keep probing the brain? Just look at the person. If someone drinks alcohol and keep drinking alcohol, we gonna watch them get drunk. Aren't we gonna watch them get drunk? And then after a day, 24 hours, they're gonna be sober again. So you can measure the right amount of alcohol that they're drinking before you can start measuring that. So if I tell you it takes you, because I already did this research, if it takes you 8 days to create a synaptic connection in a new neural pathway, I already did that research. Now I tell you, you keep strengthening that neural pathway and you prune it. So to get rid of negativity bias, think positive is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. You have to start thinking positive. How you going to do that? You got to start doing positive things. Like when tabernacle, real talk. So I'm sick of the fucking scientists talking about we're saying it wrong. When the fuck are y'all gonna get out the lab? When y'all gonna stop studying fucking mammalian animals? Well, inside of this rat brain, I don't have a rat brain. I got a human brain. When the fuck y'all gonna get to us? And I understand they've been studying the disease brains for a very long time. When you gonna study the brain to say this is how you become high functioning? Where is that lab at? Where are those neuroscientists at? Where are those neurologists at? Where are those psychiatrists and the psychologists at when they're saying high functioning? Because they just keep getting us to fucking functioning, and I'm sick of fucking functioning. That's not good enough. That's not enough. So yeah, I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying. And people will refute other people. They will write papers about other people. They'll go back 100 years ago. Why? Because the publisher perished. So when they show up at the neuroscience conference, they got some new shit. They're wrong. They're wrong. That's why I'm like, well, damn, is it 50 billion neurons? Is it 86 billion? Is it 100 billion? New research. My whole Instagram feed is about new brain research. New brain research. We got some new special medicine for Alzheimer's. Why? So pharmaceutical companies can sell that shit to y'all. A new drug, because they're funding the fucking research. So they can only research what is being funded. And you need approval. So there is no money going into how to study high functioning adult brains. So we never gonna get that shit. Here I go. It's never gonna show up. That's why your work is life changing. Exactly. So saying you can't measure a fucking dopamine hit, how is that going to change humanity? So don't listen to people that's saying dopamine hit. Okay, then what should we listen to? You? So we should not listen to someone saying dopamine hit different. So if you scrolling through your phone versus reading a book, you're going to create a different reward circuit. So you're saying that's not true? That's what you're saying. You saying if you listen to a bunch of negative ass TikTok videos for an hour and another person reads the tools for an hour, they're going to have the same result in an hour. They're going to have the same result. Their day it's going to go exactly the same. So those dopamine hits don't hit different. They don't. That's what. See how that shit don't make no sense. But he's got his graphs and everything else because they're feeling challenged too. Now they think somebody coming for their jobs. Don't nobody want to take a probe and stick it in a motherfucking deer's or whale's or a mice's or a rat's head or goose head. Y'all can keep that shit. I'm interested in human beings becoming bad mofos. So the results do matter. So I'm looking at results. Sean had an assignment. Sean killed the assignment. That's a neurological result. And that's why today we are talking about everyday flexes going on. Because if we leave it to these motherfuckers, we ain't never going to get shit done. We ain't been getting shit done. They gate kept the information and we only just got it in the last 15 years. And now they're saying we're saying it wrong. Who's saying it right then? Who's saying it right? Who is teaching high functionality from a neurological perspective? Because the other thing that we did on the TikTok live is this. I told them to go and research how much neurons cost on Amazon. And lo and behold, they don't sell neurons on Amazon. They don't even sell them on the street. You can't even get neurons on the black market. So how are you supposed to get them then? You got to create them yourself. And the only way to do that is to challenge yourself. And the only way to do that is to create emotional regulation and prune the negativity bias pathway that you have in your brain. Right. Nola said it best. He was looking for nerd approval. And he could get it. Just not from this nerd. So I've been battling that for the whole last year, feeling incompetent because these motherfucking high IQ people keep saying, and I'm like, okay, well, this is what we're going to do. You go get your lab rats. I'll bring my real leaders and we'll see who's right. Y'all ready for that challenge? Y'all ready? Y'all go get your spectrometers and your high level microscopes and your probes with your rats and your mice and your rabbits. And then I'll just bring my real leaders and we'll see whose research is working better. Whose is actually making a difference. You're looking at disease brains and you're using that to create AI and all that. And people are better because I'm here. So that part. So I'm focused on the results that you all are producing on a daily basis. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not about to get into an argument about you can't measure dopamine hits. I'm saying you can. And because I have a doctorate and I'm using my research that I've still been using for my dissertation, and I'm not trying to publish in some stupid ass magazine, I'm saying I'm right. And now let's prove me wrong. Let's see, you go take a whole year with some lab rats, and I'm going to take a whole year with some people, and let's come back and let's measure the results. Let's do before and after and see who's right. So why adults struggle with focus on results? Drink water. They are getting lost in the minutia. Exactly. I've said that. Protect. Okay, yeah. So adults were conditioned to treat effort and attention as achievement. They are protecting their ego of I tried because it feels safer than delivering results. Results expose how you are unaccountable. And so you would avoid it. So adults don't want to focus on their results because they don't have results. And let me go ahead and hide my channel from this asshole who thought that they were actually about to do something. Florida Man 561 will never be able to see this channel again. Got it. So my point is this. Everyday people can do extraordinary things. Everyday people have the ability to do extraordinary things. It's going to take new neurons to do it. It's going to take new neurons. That person that told me this was too much on TikTok, goodbye. The 13 people who signed up for subscriptions in September, goodbye. Yes, and drink water because you're not doing the work. So if you don't want to do the neurological work, cool, go away. If you don't want to have results that you focus on so you could be a bad mofo, cool, go away. Because I'm only talking to the people who want to become high functioning and extraordinary. And I don't know how much more I can convey that message. I'm only interested in the people who are interested in studying the brain to understand how it functions so you can function better, so you can become high functioning. Using the principles of real leadership and neuromobility. It's real simple. That part is real simple. Do you want to learn how your brain functions so you can function better? Stay. And if you don't, It's okay. It really is okay. Go back over where there are no high functioning brains and be regular and be ordinary. But don't come over here trying to disrupt the learning environment for people who actually want to focus on the results, who actually want to see what's possible. Can makes the impossible possible is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So if you want to see what's possible, you're going to have to know how your brain functions so you can function better and become high functioning. That's the only way you're going to know for yourself. There are no cheat codes over here. There are no life hacks. You're going to have to do the neurological work to become high functioning. That's what I got. So here is 3 daily action items that you can use to focus on the results. And it's based in neuroscience, the neuroscience that I came across. Okay. So number 1, you're going to pre-commit the target, and you're going to use the prefrontal cortex for goal encoding. So before starting any task, write down the exact measurable end state, not work on it, but what it will be finished. What will it look like when you're finished? Positive self-talk and challenging yourself daily to get new neurons. So this pre-commit signals the prefrontal cortex to build goal representation and bias attentions towards completion. So I am saying I go live every single day. I'm teaching adults how to study the brain, master the brain, teach others how to do the same, so the people in the world will forever be changed. That's why I actually have an agenda that I write down, so later I can see in my notes what I actually did. And because I was writing too much, I use my tablet, so I don't spend an hour and a half writing notes because I don't have that time commitment anymore based upon my current schedule. And so I am saying, here's the goal. Today's goal is to focus on the results. Today's goal on TikTok was to focus on lazy. And today's goal for Nola's businesses, we have 2 appointments. And so I'm going to focus on the results, completing the TikTok live, completing the YouTube live, taking a shower, completing the appointments for Nola, getting my reading in, getting my stretching in. Focus on the results for that task. It doesn't have to be long term. It could be short term. I'm going to clean my whole house up. Jared has a short term goal that he got to get rid of all his shit by October 31st, midnight. Or he gonna see a different version of me on November the 1st at 5 a.m. He gonna see a different version of me, for sure. Because a lot is at stake. That energy and those items got to go. Somebody could use those things. You got to let them go. Can't nobody use it, then it's going in file 13. But the main thing is the main thing, because all that energy is still in that stuff and it's stopping him from his next level of growth. So you have to say, I'm focused on completion. The result, begin with the end in mind. And I believe I got that from Frito-Lay. That's not mine. But what is the end goal? What is the result for today? And when you start with that, that's what you're going to focus on. When we had to put that desk together, the end goal was we don't come back to appointments. We're going to be here until this damn desk with all these pieces are finished. When Nola was going to be there putting it together, and I was going to be there holding it together neurologically, or myself with them damn rabbits trying to take me out. So the point is, the main thing is the main thing, and you have to begin with the end in mind. Number 2, you're going to close the loop before stopping. So the basal ganglia, the habit consolidation. Do not stop midstream. Push until you complete a unit of outcome. So I know, right? Good morning, all. Okay, got it. So we had the Envy asked, how did y'all finish the desk? And you finish the desk, first of all, because of all of the 2,500 pre-existing appointments, but because you finish what you start. That's one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Persevere during times of adversity. Do it now. Procrastination is the enemy. Quitters never win. Be the best. Keep your word. If you said you were going to do that, that's 5 different principles of real leadership, up and rolling into focus on the results. The results were, we saw the photo, you challenge yourself, you take risks. That's 2 more. And the next thing you know, bada boom, bada bing, Nola has built the desk. And so closing the loop generates the reward signal that reinforces the finish circuit over the stall circuit. That's why you have to finish what you start, because that neural pathway is cemented until you don't use it no more. Then it's not. You can excavate it. So you have to finish what you start. Don't say, you know what? I'm going to come back tomorrow. How many I'm going to come back tomorrow projects you got? I'm going to come back next week. I'm going to pick that back up next month. You know what? It's almost the end of the calendar year. I'm going ahead and start this in 2026. And then you never go back. And so what circuit you have completed is the stall circuit, the pause circuit. And that's why shit can't get done. Put a pin in it, and now you didn't put the shit in the garage, and you forgot totally about it. We clean people's garages and houses out, and they're like, "Oh, I've been looking for that. Man, I remember when I was going, yeah, I'm gonna keep that because that project." You're not. It's just gonna be in a new pile. That's why we take it with us. When we finish organization. Where's your local donation center around here? If they buy the house, we take it to Savers. No, we got it. You ain't gonna be able to pick this back up out the trash. It's gone. You're not using this no more. No, somebody else about to buy it at Savers, but you're not about to have it no more. So you got to finish what you start. You can't. Now I'm not saying you can't take a break and pee. I'm not saying that. I'm still in my neuroscience class because my schedule is insane, which is why I'm not starting my book challenge until November so I can finish this class this year. It's self-paced on purpose. And so I'm going to finish it. I'm not going to finish it because I finish everything that I start. So you got to finish it. Otherwise, you are creating a quit circuit, a stall circuit, a pause circuit, and ain't going to be no results. So you start with a result with beginning with the end in mind, and then you finish it. And you have it in incremental steps. Intermittent goals is what you need if it's a long-term objective. But if it's something for the day, I'm going to clean the house up today, then you don't go to sleep until the house is clean. Thank you. You don't go to sleep until the house is clean. If you're going to do all the laundry today, nobody goes and leaves the house. Because I say this, and I have a video for this. The only people who have to help with the laundry in the house is the people who wear clothes. So if they don't wear clothes, then they ain't got to help with the laundry. But if you got on clothes, you helping with the laundry. The only people who have to help wash the dishes are the people who eat off dishes. The only people who have to help with the landscaping are the people who sit in the landscaping, walk past the landscaping. That's the only people that got to help. So everybody can participate in these results for this weekend or for whatever it is. But you close out that circuit of finish what you start. And then number 3, run a daily result audit. And you're going to be using Miss Brenda, the ACC, and the Insula. And it's going to be error detection and reality contact. So at the end of the day, list only, this is the part they get people, what actually was produced. Not what you intended to produce, but was actually produced. So if you were supposed to clean up the whole house and you only washed the dishes, and you didn't even clean off the stove and the island and mop the kitchen floor and wipe the doggone cabinets and stuff down, yes. If you were supposed to do all the laundry and you got the colored clothes washed, that didn't get finished. And so no intentions and no explanations. This activates the ACC to detect gaps between the goal and the outcome, forcing the brain to encode reality over narrative. Well, you know what? I was going to do all that, but then Keisha came over and she was talking about her insignificant other and how they had to. Keisha can wash laundry too. Y'all can fold while she told. Fold these socks up. Make sure they got the matches. Go put them in the kids' drawers. Keisha can help. She can edge. She can edge too. Keisha can help clean out the garage. While you have to remember, y'all can go back down memory lane. You can do that. I remember this picture. Yep, you're going to donate the frame. Got it. Take a picture, make it digital, and donate the frame. That's what's going to happen. So that's the issue. You're not beginning with the end in mind. Brenda is my mom's name. Got it. So this is what you're going to do. Get the circuit. Here is what the end looks like. A clean house, dishes washed, car waxed, clothes donated, stuff donated. And now I ain't going to sleep today. And if it's a long project and you got to go through the closets, I'm going to go through the primary closets and the kids' closet today. Tomorrow I'm going to do the garage. Monday I'm driving everything to the Goodwill, Savers, or wherever, and I'm dropping that off. That's a 3-day, 72 hours. So by Monday evening, all that need to be done. At the end of Saturday, did I do all the closets? If I didn't, be realistic. I started looking at stuff. I got distracted. I felt sad, and I didn't do it. Okay, cool. Then I guess you pulling an all-nighter. Because the goal is 72 hours. So it seems like you're going to be doubling up somewhere. That's what's happening. Because the number one principle of real leadership is hold yourself and others personally accountable. But you got to hold yourself personally accountable first before you start holding everybody else. So when you don't keep your word, which is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, you are being personally unaccountable. And you are creating a pause circuit. You are creating a quit circuit, a stop circuit, a lying circuit, a lazy circuit. That's what you're doing. And then you're like, ooh, it's just so much stuff in this house. I can't even. Yeah, you can't. That's your fault. Y'all bought all that shit. Y'all put all that shit in there. Y'all the ones gonna take it out. So what questions do you have about the 3 things you need to do? You need to set the goal. You need to finish it. And if it's more than one day, you need to assess what happened. And are you on track to accomplish that goal? And if you ain't, that's on you. We got it? So let me move out the way so you can see my picture. Look at the brain. He's suited and booted. He on trend. You gotta love chat. And he focused on the results like a mug. That's what you need to do. Focus on the results. So what questions do you have? Step 1, step 2, step 3. What questions do you have about focusing on the results? Hold yourself personally accountable, Jared. Retype that because accountability is external. Personal accountability is internal. I don't even know if I downloaded this. Let me see. I'm not. I'm gonna just post this as a brain bit today. So Jared, retype that. Hold yourself personally accountable. And drink water. Drink water. Back is killing me. Did you chat go? There we go. You have a question, Sean? I thought you was just listening. Sean, I was talking about you before you got on there, and I was saying that you got till Friday to finish. Got it. So Sean, I didn't tell them what you had to do, but I told them that I gave you a strategy to do something, and it went well because there was a neurologist online talking about experts, talking about dopamine hits, a neuroscientist talking about dopamine hits hit different. And Nola said, I'm teaching everyday people about the brain. And I was explaining that with Jared being able to read his 4 books, but also with you were frustrated, and I gave you a strategy and it worked, and the whole system worked. So do you care if you can measure dopamine hits or not on the spectrometer? There you go, Jared. I'm holding myself personally accountable. So do you care if it's impossible to measure dopamine hits through a MRI or a spectrometer? Do you care? Or do you care that I was able to give you a neurological strategy to deal with your thing that you needed to deal with? Which one do you value, Sean, if you can answer that? Oh, yes. So I don't know how to measure dopamine hit. I don't have the neuroscience equipment, but I do know how the brain functions to tell adults to be high functioning. And so that matters more. So if any of the neuroscientist staff people are here today, fuck y'all. That's a technical term. And I use my orthographic processing center to phonetically spell it and then say it, because I do have a deficiency back there. But those 2 words I do know how to process and spell correctly. FUCKYA''LL. And I can say fuck y'all. Value what you gave me to work with. I was so different the second time around. Exactly. So I don't have a spectrometer to measure dopamine hits. That shit don't work. What does work is understanding how the brain functions so adults can be high functioning so they can function better every single day. Entirely different ways. Yes. Entirely different outcome because you had a why and a strategy, and neurologically you did your brain dump and your breathing, so you didn't have cortisol in your prefrontal cortex when you sat down. Everything went accordingly to plan. Mission accomplished. So focus on the results. You got the results that you actually wanted. Bada boom, bada bing. Live to create new neurons for another day. So Jared had a question, and I was remiss yesterday in giving this information. He asked me, I researched it. I told him that I was going to cover it the day I did Reading is Fundamental. Now, I neglected to do that because I had 1 hour and 41 minutes of sleep. So today, my pleasure, and I am grateful that you used it and that it worked. so that I can tell people it works. So thank you for implementing it and telling me how it went, because that's the exchange. So you did it, it worked, and now I know that it worked so that I can improve the strategy going forward. So Jared asked the question. One day we were talking about reading, and we were talking about, does it matter? Somebody asked, what about digital books, ebooks, or audiobooks? And so I have a very long, it's so long. I was going to make this the thing. And look how long that is. That was me asking all the questions, and see how that's going. And that was too much. And it was a lot of brain shit. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that to y'all, because it was way too much. I was getting lost, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So no. So Jared asked the question, what happens if you listen to the book and have the physical book in front of you? And so I told him I was going to use it on Reading is Fundamental. Y'all know the desk and the rabbits tried to take me out. So I only had an hour and 41 minutes of sleep. I forgot. I didn't remember until I was actually on the live. And then I said, Jared messaged me and I'm going to discuss it. Jared messaged me. And now today, as the brain bit, I'm going to discuss what happens. So this is what takes place. Let me get back to the part that we can. So the question I asked chat was, what happens neurologically when you listen to an audiobook and read along at the same time? And so chat said, when you listen and read at the same time, the brain is doing multimodal integration. And so it is combining auditory and visual language streams into one meaning. That changes the load and circuitry compared to doing either one. And so the regions that are happening with the brain that are activated together are the occipital lobe, the fusiform gyrus, the superior temporal gyrus, the Wernicke's area, the angular gyrus, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and your working memory. So it's visual language pathway, it's auditory language pathway, it's multimodal integration and synchronization, and it's prefrontal cortex control. The Gucci come. Hey, miss, what will happen if Donald Trump's take away skibbity toilet and brings back tongue Sahara Sarhu? Because every time my brain is displaying an image of John Pork. Drink water. So the reasons, again, when you are doing audiobooks as well as following along with a physical book, are the occipital lobe, the fusiform gyrus, the superior temporal gyrus, the Wernicke's area, the angular gyrus, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, and working memory. Now, I could have read a whole bunch of other stuff. Here's what's happening. So here is the part that's for you, Jared. Good morning, 857 chosen. Unique neurological benefit of doing both. So because the same content arrives through two channels at the same time, the brain reduces the decoding effort. So the words get auto-confirmed by the sound. It increases your comprehension stability. So there's dual encoding, which means that there is a stronger trace. It increases attentional engagement. So the PFC, prefrontal cortex, must synchronize all the streams. And then it activates error monitoring circuits. So if what you see doesn't equal what you hear. So this combination, and why it's paired, reading plus audio, is used in dyslexia interventions, language learning like Duolingo, literacy fluency training, and memory reinforcement protocols. So in summary, reading plus listening creates a redundant dual channel input that strengthens comprehension and memory by forcing multimodal integration and intentional synchronization. And so as a result, Jared, yes, you can continue to do both because it is affirming what is taking place and it is a win-win situation. So go forth and continue to listen to the audio as well as have the physical information right there in front of you. What questions do we have on the brain bit for today? And if you have no questions, then we will go on to our everyday flexes. And I need to open up a new water. So no questions, no questions. It would not be multitask because it's happening simultaneously. So no, you're focused on the same thing in two different things. So Duolingo, if you don't use Duolingo, when you are doing the speaking, you hit the microphone and they will say it and you will see the words at the same time so that you can process it. So it's the same task coming from two different inputs. To use all of the senses to lock in. Got it. So now you can do that, especially for learning. Yes. All right. If there are no other questions, we're going to do this separately. So if you had an everyday flex yesterday, what was your everyday flex? My pleasure. I just apologize for forgetting it. I was so hyped all day, punching buttons on happy mode all day. Sean is on every platform now. Sean is on Lemonade. I'm like, I get a notification and Sean is everywhere. I'm like, Sean turning into the ops. I'm like, you are like the NSA. I turn around, that Sean is on YouTube. She on doggone Threads. She is everywhere now. She is hitting all kind of buttons. Back in the day, they hitting the switches for the hydraulics. You are like, I'm on this, I'm on that, I'm on this, I'm on that. She is everywhere. Everywhere. All right. Not really, just rested after Des technically finished that yesterday. Yes. I'm new here to your channel. I'm learning as we go. Roger that. Because the meeting was so dope. Yes, ma'am. Natural dopamine is addictive and it's cool. It's a how about we say this, Jared? Natural dopamine is a value-added reward circuit. Let's say that. It is a value-added reward circuit that happens from the nucleus accumbens. Daisy said I had none because of your headache. So Daisy, you actually did, because even though you had a migraine, you were still on the lives yesterday. So that's actually a flex, because you could have not messaged me and told me you weren't going to be participating as much because of your migraine, but you still showed up. So you actually did have an everyday flex. You did have an everyday flex. So if here are some examples going forward. If you normally pop off and you didn't at all, that's the everyday flex. If you had inhibition control the entire day, that's the everyday flex. And I'm vacillating back and forth with, should it be everyday flex and everything is included, or should it be an everyday flex and a neural flex? We're off again on Monday, so I will have the answer by then. So it's these things that you did that you wouldn't normally have done when you answered the question. If you looked up the answer on there, that was the way I had to start learning new things. Which way, Lola? The flex was I only used 4 words in a meeting and got some results without snapping out or getting out of character. Yes, that was a flex on flex on flex. Natural dopamine is value added. Can you say that again, please? Yes. So natural dopamine is a value added reward circuit in the nucleus, coming from the nucleus accumbens. Accumbens, ACCUBENS, nucleus. So say that instead. So remember, word choice matters. So addictive is a negative connotation. I'm so obsessed. I'm obsessed with this. So if you think about the energy, my pleasure, you think about the energy from words, most words have synonyms, and they also have alternative words that are antonyms that are the same, synonyms that are the same, or antonyms that are the opposite. And so that's why I tell people, once I give you those research questions, you're always going to start looking up word choice matters. And now you understand. That's why I say discomfort instead of uncomfortable, because discomfort is different than uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable in that seat, but discomfort is a choice. It is the opposite of comfort. So un means lack of, but dis means I'm on purpose doing this. I'm discomforting myself. Yes, we switched that up. So starting to look for everyday flexes, it doesn't have to be something as huge as Dola and I putting that desk together. Yesterday, we slept in. So my everyday flex was I took a 4-hour nap. I got off the live, I put some stuff in on social media, and then I slept until I woke up. And then we went, and I'm looking for some black riding pants leggings with the zipper on the side because mine are old now. And so we looked for those, and then we went and got food and then came home. And we watched the episode of Victoria Beckham later in the night because I like Victoria Beckham's style. So I wanted to hear the story behind that. And so that was a flex because we had a very double down previous day. So to relax and take naps were two of the principles of real leadership. So that was an everyday flex. So when I'm saying everyday flexes, it's actually just assessing your day in your default mode network and saying you are aware that this is a flex and napping is a flex. My brain conversations are causing my coworkers to think, and that is the whole point. That is one plants, one waters, and then the increase comes from that person. So even if we're having a bad day, always look for a flex. Exactly. Because if you're having a bad day, DJ Crypt Keeper, and you don't slap the shit out of somebody, that was a neurological flex because you maintain control. So you should, if you didn't watch our live yesterday, my daughter and I's live goal is about 45 minutes. You will see it's quite funny, but that was a character building day to say the least. So a character building day doesn't mean that you didn't flex. If you made it to the end of your day and it was tough as hell and you didn't quit the day, that's a neuroflex. I had to listen to what I wanted to read. Oh, thank you, Lola, for following up with that. Yes. And so it helps. Right. And Lola is killing the game, y'all. It's not fair. And it's still 2025. Literally in January, couldn't do any of the things. She had things she was doing. The current new things, the new neural pathways that she has created weren't happening this time last year. And now ain't no thing but a chicken wing. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. And we started on LinkedIn sending messages to each other. Yes. And now it is night and day. Night and day. So the flex is if you found yourself doing something, if you used to drink and now you are 40 days clean and sober, neuroflex. Neuroflex. If you need to lose a pound a week and you got to the end of the week and you lost a pound, neuroflex. Because that's what it is. And the reason why we're doing this neuroflexing is because celebrities and politicians and everybody else want us to celebrate their regular ass existences like that's something. Most of us have had to work 50 hours a week to get 2 weeks of vacation off if you are in a corporate job. And they want credit for half-ass working and half-ass doing shit. Congress goes out of session and they get to come home and chill and go to their office and kind of do some work. We still don't really know what the fuck they do every day. But yeah, that part. And then they show up every 2 to 4 years for you to vote on them. Where the fuck you been? And then they want to make it seem like we had a custodian on the live yesterday making $14 an hour, but that school is clean and safe. That school is clean and safe. That's the fucking neuroflex and an everyday flex. I couldn't comprehend what I was reading, so I needed to listen to it. Yes, ma'am. Again, leaps and bounds. And now you can, and it's a great thing. And I'm glad Jared brought that to our attention. And then I brought it closed the neural circuit, averaging 10K steps for a whole month. Damn straight. So you can get down to your BMI. So my objective as the everyday leader for everyday life is for us to start celebrating our everydayness, because there are 365 everydays in every year, which means you have an opportunity to have 365 everyday flexes. So in leap year 366. That's amazing. And now you can look back, and now you're going to start looking for your everyday flexes. So these other people who have decided that they are the flexors, they're not. And what you will find, as I watch my own offspring do it, is that your brain will be like, that ain't shit. Fuck you bragging about that for? That ain't nothing. How many neural pathways did that take? You didn't even need new neurons to do that. You got another movie coming out? Another season of the same? Oh, that ain't shit. Dr. Donna, sometimes my brain thinks faster than I can type or write, and I skip my words. That's what I need to work on. What you can do, Sean, is type it and then proofread it. And I have proofread stuff, and still, even in that article that I had a misspelled word because of the orthographic processing center. So my recommendation is that you type it, proofread it, come back to it, and proofread it again. Leave it in draft, and that will eliminate 90% of the errors. And on here, it just goes faster. See? Strategies. Now, I don't measure dopamine hits, though. I do everything else when it comes to the brain. I do everything else. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, you had your flexes, and my 4-hour nap was my flex. And like I said, by Monday, I will be deciding if we're doing a neural flex and an everyday flex, or do you just put them both together? And we call it an everyday neural flex. I don't know. I'll find out on Monday. Give it time. I'm noodling on it, to quote Leah Box. So the last 3 questions for today are this. What did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what was your brain conversations? Thank you, Sean. So what did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what was your brain conversation? And if you are subscribed on TikTok, there is questions in there for you on TikTok this morning as well. If your memberships are overlapping, then you just have double brain work to do until the Instagram subscription is over. Leave the dopamine measure into yes, sir. I will do that, Jared. You like, I'm getting too much. Don't you go talk about you about to go learn how to measure no damn dopamine hits, so you ain't gonna be live for 6 months while you go learn how to use the dopamine measuring machine. They come back to only say, we measured it, and now we put a probe in a rat's brain. Okay. So what did you learn today? What did you learn about yourself? And what was your brain conversation? And go ahead and type your ellipse, your thinking, your quote, or something for me to know that your chat is working and that you are completely present and engaged this Saturday morning for most of us, because I don't believe no one across the pond is on the live today. Jeff West Bay, 2682. And thumbs up works as well. Brains, anything. Well, not anything. Type something wrong, you might not be here. So interesting thing that I discovered. I learned today that I am lazy. Shame. I'm here. All right, 857 Chosen. What did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? Jared said, I learned that you need to start with the results to make your plan of action. That is correct. Begin with the end in mind. Nola said, I learned about myself that with hard stuff, my tinkering delays, tired, and then after I'm done, it hits me. It does, like a ton of bricks. That's why we rested yesterday. That's why we're resting on Monday, because that was intense. That was so intense. If you did not participate in yesterday's 5 p.m. live, it is on YouTube. It is. Go for it. I highly recommend that you watch it. So that way you won't be making excuses about something that's tough and you can't get it done. Because that was the hardest appointment in damn near 5 years. It was so many things happening all at once. Nola said, I learned that you need to focus on results, even short-term results in the task. It's not always long-term. It's get the house clean. It's make up your damn bed. Exfoliate your skin. Whatever it is. So the one thing that, as you continue to answer, the one revelation that I had towards the end of the TikTok live today is I have been telling people, if you want to know my credentials, Google me and all of that, and look on LinkedIn. And it hit me like a ton of bricks on the live, and I started laughing. I said, people are using emotionally dysregulated, weak-ass prefrontal cortex brains to assess my credentials. My credentials aren't going to register with them. So I'm not saying that shit no more. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying if you want to check, because your confirmation bias and conformity bias ain't gonna be able to process it anyway. So as that was my last time saying it was on TikTok. Not saying it anymore because they are neurologically inept to process it anyway. Noah said, my brain conversation was about how I could see the end result from that paper. Yes, and how I could not see the end result from that paper. Daisy said, yesterday I had a challenging day, but battling an extreme migraine. 857 Chosen said, I learned I am lazy. Okay. Now, but you can also do something about it for you and Daisy. Sean said, I have learned about myself. Choice of words really matters. It does. Word choice matters. DJ Crypt Keeper said, I learned that I want to focus on building new neurons to be more extraordinary and high functioning. And that's why you need to subscribe on TikTok. That's why you need to subscribe. So TikTok today, we went shopping for neurons and we didn't find any platforms that sell neurons. So that means you got to create them yourself. They come from within the dentate gyrus and the hippocampus. That's where the challenge is. That's where they're released from, according to the research that I found in my class. Now, somebody may come along and refute that. We will see. Yes. Anybody else, brain conversations or anything that you learned? And the reason why, for the people who are visiting for the first couple times, the reason why I asked those 3 questions is because, number one, you need to learn something every day, because that means that there was a release of new neurons. You need to learn something about yourself, because in your default mode network time, you would normally ruminate, daydream, or mind wander. I'm saying there's a 4th option of self-reflection. And so that is your time to reflect on yourself. So if you start saying, what did I learn? What I learned about myself, you're going to create those neural pathways of learning and assessing yourself. Sean said, brain convo was, I was going to challenge how to make a quick ad video, but have not mastered it. I'm going to get it though. Okay, I use KineMaster, KineMaster, for graphic things. Nola does Canva Pro. So those are just 2 options for you if you're saying you're making a video. I like KineMaster better than Canva, but that's just because of how it works for me. And do the work, DJ. That is correct, Jared. Do the work, because that's the only way it's going to work. I can't give you new neurons. No matter how much money or how cute you are or how much you beg me, you're going to have to produce them yourself. Camera Pro. Is that on iPhone or is that an app? So I use KineMaster, PixArt, Unfold, and UCut. And I also use lenses out of Snapchat. I also create in Lemonade, TikTok, and Instagram and Snapchat. And sometimes I take those graphics and put them in PixArt too. And obviously now using ChatGPT for my amazing, beautiful graphics right there. But this was made in Chat, and then I put it in Unfold too. Is that an app? Yes. So the apps are KineMaster, KineMaster. Some people say KineMaster, Unfold, UNFOLD, UCut, YOUCUT, PixArt, PICSART, and then Chat. But I don't rarely do and Canva, but I have the free Canva, but I pay for all the rest of those. And so I call it app smashing. So I rarely do, I just do. And then even when I take the Lemonade, sometimes I'll cut the Lemonade off, take it out, and then put it in a frame. Sometimes I'll add some music to it, my own music, KineMaster's music, or the music on a streaming app. But it's a whole learning experience. I learned how to jump cut and all of that too over the years. But when you've been 10 years almost 10 years of posting, and then 8 years of making your own content, then you have a different style too. Oh yeah, Nola, I think I found a lumberyard tigs why I was trying to play around with this video stuff. I'm learning. So she found a lumberyard, Nola. That's awesome. All right. So if nobody has anything else, tomorrow we are coming around third on these 74 principles for leadership. And tomorrow is Meet Your Potential. Meet Your Potential. I haven't decided what topic is going to be on TikTok yet. I usually let the day progress, and then I'm going to video cut. Oh, because you're filming that because you're also filming your process too for your clock. Yes. So tomorrow is Meet Your Potential. Don't know what I'm talking about on TikTok yet, but I will be live tomorrow on TikTok at 4 a.m. Again, if you didn't see yesterday's live at 5, it's on YouTube. It's in the live tab. It was yesterday. It's called Go For It. Interesting live. Nola's there to be more towards your level of learning, so you can see how she uses the 74 principles of real leadership based upon her mental illnesses and the theory of personal accountability. So it works for everybody. Everybody is willing to do the work. I will be back tomorrow, same time. My pleasure. I will be, and Nola, Sean said thank you to you as well. I will be back tomorrow, higher power, God, and the universe willing. Same time, same place, safe space. For those of you who trying not to fuck with me, but if you are, air and opportunity exists as well. That's on my dance card too. Different Brain t-shirt. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day, and look for your everyday flex. Look for it. Get to the end of your night and say, what was my everyday flex? So I will be ready to say what that is. Okay? All right. Y'all have a great one. Adios.